Somewhere under your feet, right now, there is electricity moving through the dirt, not metaphorically, literally. 2 pieces of scrap metal and a patch of wet soil is all it takes to generate a real continuous electrical current, and people have known how to do it since before the light bulb existed. Today, we're pulling this one out of the archives, because it costs about $8 to try, and almost nobody has heard of it. Here's the problem most of us are actually dealing with. Electricity bills keep climbing, and the solution everyone gets pushed toward is the same: solar panels, a wall of lithium batteries, and a 5-figure invoice. A full home battery backup system can run anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 installed, and the batteries themselves, the part every installer says you absolutely need, often account for a third of that cost on their own. And lithium doesn't last forever. Most packs lose a meaningful chunk of their capacity within 5 to 7 years, which means the energy independence you paid for quietly turns into a future replacement bill. Meanwhile, the grid itself isn't getting more dependable. Outage hours have been creeping up for years, so people are paying more for a system that's degrading to stay connected to infrastructure that fails more often than it used to. That's the trap. But there's a much older, much cheaper piece of electrochemistry that never made it into that conversation, and it's been sitting in plain sight the entire time. If you've ever done the classic science fair trick, stick a copper penny and a galvanized nail into a lemon and watch a tiny LED flicker on, you've already built one of these. That's a galvanic cell. 2 different metals sitting in a liquid that can carry ions, with electrons flowing from one metal to the other, because they don't hold on to their electrons equally hard. Swap the lemon for wet soil, and you've got what's historically been called an earth battery. Soil is full of dissolved salts, organic acids, and moisture, enough to act as a weak but genuinely functional electrolyte. This isn't a new idea dressed up for YouTube. In 1841, a Scottish clockmaker named Alexander Bain buried zinc and copper plates in the ground outside his workshop, wired them together, and used the roughly 1 volt he measured to drive the pendulum of an electric clock he'd just patented. Around the same era, telegraph engineers discovered that the earth itself could act as a return wire for a circuit, which is why, by the 1850s, telegraph lines across Europe and North America were routinely using half the copper they used to, with the ground carrying the rest of the signal. Even further back, a set of small clay jars excavated near Baghdad in 1936, containing a copper cylinder wrapped around an iron rod, dated to somewhere between 250 BCE and 224 CE. Closely matched the layout of a basic galvanic cell. Nobody knows for certain what they were used for, but researchers who built replicas and filled them with an acidic liquid got a working current out of them. So why does this work at all? Picture it like a very slow, very patient tug of war over electrons. Zinc is greedy to give up its electrons. Chemists call it more reactive. Copper is comparatively content to hold onto its own. Bury both in something that can carry charged particles between them, like moist soil, and the zinc keeps shedding electrons that have nowhere to go but through a wire toward the copper. That steady one-way push is your current. It's not a large push. A single cell in the ground typically produces somewhere around half a volt to 1 volt at just a few milliamps. But electricity doesn't have to be large to be useful. It has to be reliable. And unlike a solar panel, this reaction doesn't care whether the sun is up. As long as the ground stays damp, the reaction keeps running. The reason this never became a mainstream energy category isn't some dramatic cover-up. It's much more mundane than that. Renewable energy incentives, insurance policies, and building codes are all built around products that scale, things that get manufactured, certified, installed by licensed technicians, and financed through a bank. A handful of copper pipe and galvanized nails buried in your backyard doesn't fit into any of those categories, so there's no lobby pushing to get it onto an incentive list, no safety testing body issuing a listing for it, and no appraiser who knows how to put a number on it. It's not banned, it's just outside the shape of the system that decides what counts as real infrastructure. That's a pretty ordinary explanation, but it's also exactly why something this old and this cheap can still be sitting almost entirely unused. And this isn't just old history, it's active research. In January 2024, a Northwestern University team, led by engineer Bill Yen, published a peer-reviewed design for a soil-powered microbial fuel cell about the size of a paperback book. Instead of relying purely on the metal-to-metal reaction, it used naturally occurring soil bacteria to break down organic matter and donate electrons to a buried electrode. In field testing, it produced several times more power than the sensors attached to it actually needed, and it kept working across a wide range of soil moisture levels, from fairly dry to fully waterlogged. The team published the entire design open source with schematics anyone can build from. Researchers at UC Santa Cruz have since been field testing similar mud batteries on working farms since 2022, and teams in Thailand have run comparable experiments in mineral-rich soil, wiring enough cells together to slowly charge a phone over several hours. None of this is fringe speculation. It's documented, funded, and published research, just aimed at very small, low-power devices rather than anyone's whole house. So what can you actually build with this, and what should you expect from it? Here's the honest, doable version. You'll need 3 things: a length of copper pipe cut into 4 to 6 inch sections to act as your positive electrodes, a handful of galvanized steel nails or pipe as your negative electrodes, regular galvanized steel, not stainless, because stainless is specifically designed to resist the corrosion this reaction depends on, and a spool of thin, insulated copper wire to link everything together. All in, that's usually under $10 at a hardware store. Dig a series of holes in consistently moist soil, spaced roughly a foot apart, and in each one, push a copper section and a galvanized nail a few inches deep, keeping the two a few inches apart within the same hole. Connect the copper of one cell to the zinc of the next, and repeat that chain across as many cells as you build. 10 cells in series is a reasonable starting point. The leftover zinc end of your first cell and the leftover copper end of your last cell are your 2 terminals. Check them with a basic multimeter, and you should see a modest but real voltage. If your soil is dry, water it. If it's sandy, a bit of dissolved non-iodized salt or some aged compost worked into the ground nearby can noticeably improve conductivity. Now for the limitations, because this only stays honest if we're upfront about them. This will not run your refrigerator, your air conditioner, or your washing machine. The voltage and current are simply too small for high-draw appliances. What it's genuinely good for is trickle charging a battery, powering an LED strip, running a soil moisture sensor, or keeping a small wireless device alive continuously. Output rises and falls with soil moisture, so performance will dip during a dry spell and recover after rain. And the zinc electrodes are consumed as part of the reaction. That's the whole mechanism, so expect to replace them every year or 2 depending on your soil and electrode size. This is a hands-on project, not an appliance. There's no app, no support line, and you'll want basic comfort with a multimeter and some patience to experiment with your specific soil. None of that makes it useless. It just makes it what it actually is, a nearly 2-century-old piece of real electrochemistry, still working the exact same way it did in Alexander Bain's garden, available to anyone with a shovel and a few dollars of hardware store metal. It was never going to replace the grid. But it's a good reminder that not every useful idea needs a corporation behind it to be real. Sometimes the ground you're standing on has been quietly doing something interesting the entire time. You just needed a reason to dig. If you'd build one of these to run a sensor or a security light off nothing but dirt and rain, or you'd rather just stick with a battery you can buy off a shelf, that's worth thinking about. Either way, Hidden Fix Lab will keep digging up the ideas that got left behind, one overlooked piece of history at a time.